Hey y'all, I'm back with a DIY backgrounds video, and this time I'm going to be showing you how I watercolor using different mediums on three different backgrounds, but I actually only use one for my layout process. So I have 3 sheets of watercolor paper cut at 12 by 12. It's originally 18 by 12, and it's just Canson watercolor paper that I got from Michaels. And I'm going to use my craft sheet, and that's by Ranger, and I'm going to use 3 different inks on this. These distress inks. I'm going to use Spun Sugar, Abandoned Coral, and Scattered Straw, and then I'm just going to pat them all over my craft sheet. And this is probably one of the quickest, not like really subtle ways to get a pretty color. I put quite a bit of water on there, and I actually add more to where I get more beads. And then you'll see when it comes up, it actually is pretty light, but I like the way that it looked, and this is actually the one that I choose for my layout, and you'll see how I worked with that. But I love the way that that turned out. So that's the first really just easy kind of natural way to make colors blend. And then this one is not so natural. This one's going to look a little bit more, I would say, like obviously like I did it with a brush, and I just did like strokes, and so you guys will be able to see this. But I mean, in the end, I like the way that it looks, but I don't use it for my background. I like just the simple techniques of using, like people use the clear packaging. I use my acrylic block a lot. I got that from a previous design team member on Hip Kit Club, and her name was Amelie. I think it's Morday, maybe. She was from France originally. And so she had used her acrylic block for more control, and so you guys will see that here in a second. But I am just kind of going through with my brush and just kind of looking for an ombre look, although it doesn't really turn out like that. But I do like the way that it turns out. I just don't end up using it, and I haven't looked at it since I've done this, but it probably looks even better now that it's dry. So I'm just kind of adding a little bit more color because I realized pretty quickly that that it wasn't centered, that the color wasn't very centered, and I was thinking if I was going to use this, that I was going to use it like the picture in the middle, and or possibly towards the side and bottom of the square in the middle, and then kind of embellish around that. I added that darker color there at the end, and I wasn't really crazy about it, so I took just a wipe just to kind of wipe some of that up. So that was just what I did with the watercolors, which is pretty simple, and you guys all know how to do that. And then the last technique I'm going to use is just the packaging technique with some shimmers sprays. I like this technique. I think that it works really well, and you get super vibrant color, especially because you're using that spray directly on from the plastic to your sheet, so you're going to get really good color. I struggle using vibrant like backgrounds like this to where they're done by me rather than just coming with a collection. So I'll challenge myself to use this for sure. But one thing I realized pretty quickly is I wanted more blue, but if I used that piece of packaging, I probably wouldn't have had as much control. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my acrylic block, I'm going to spray right onto that, and then I'm going to put the blue right where I want it, which is exactly the way that I wanted it to turn out. So that is kind of how I'm just going to pat up a little bit of that mess there, and then I'm actually going to leave that splatter because I kind of liked that, and then I'm going to add a few more, and then I'll be done with that one, and I'll challenge myself to use that for another video. But for this one, I'm going to use this really neat, the first one that I created that I just like love the way it turned out, and then I couldn't have found a more perfect paper to go with this because I really think that those colors complemented each other. And so what I did is my video cut off there, so you guys didn't see me gluing it on all the way, but I just basically adhered it to the piece of pattern paper, and then I cut off the excess, and then sewed some really I'm trying to think of the word, it's slipping me, but just some rough lines around the paper. I'm kind of there in the center. You can see those thread marks there. And this is going to be super simple. I'm not going to do a ton of layering. I just picked a few Amy Tan ephemera pieces to just kind of line up. And I really love when people are able to like turn their photos and not have them going like straight. And I struggle with that because sometimes I think it looks like when I do it, it looks a little amateurish, even though like I'm not a professional scrapbooker or anything. But I don't know, it just looks like I'm just beginning. And so, but I really like the way that this turned out, and I want to try that more often because when other people do it, it looks really neat and it looks very intentional. And like with me, sometimes I feel like it looks unintentional. So I wanted to try that out, and I do like the way that that turned out. And I think that this page was like perfect for that because you can still see all the pretty color from the watercolor. So my title really doesn't make that much sense, but I really liked these. I know we all do this, and if you like the certain figures and you don't really have like certain words left or whatever, you kind of just like make it work, or you say something that really doesn't make sense, but you like the way that it looks, and sometimes it just, the beauty beats the title. I mean, that's just kind of how it is for me. So I ended up using those Dear Lizzie thickers, and then right here I'm looking for some washi in this washi book. I think it's a Heidi Swap book that I have not hardly used, as you can see. And I'm going to pull, I started to pull a black and white striped piece, but I actually didn't end up liking that, and I pulled something different. I'm going to use some of my little homemade embellishments. These are from the, where I tried to recreate the pebble stitched shapes or circles, and so I did, I am going to put a couple of those on my page, and then I also put one of my, I think that other little homemade embellishment is from the Dear Lizzie Happy Place when I tried to recreate that one, and so you guys can look back at my videos and see if you can find that. They should be under, you know, the DIY embellishments. And I tried to make thumbnails to on these particular videos so that they're easily noticeable. And so I hope that that helped. But anyway, so I'm just going to add a few more things. I wanted a little bit more cork on the page, so I added a couple pieces there at the top of the photo, and then of course some India ink. And here are my final pictures. So I hope you guys enjoyed this process, and let me know if you have any questions.